In the far galaxy of Altherion, there was a planet named Salterra. It was home to shining towers, silver skies, and glowing rivers. And in the middle of this beautiful world stood the Crystal Palace. Inside the palace lived a princess, but she was not like the others. Her name was Kalara, and once, she was the brightest star of her people. She was tall, with silver skin and wings like folded moonlight. Her voice could calm storms. Her smile could stop wars. Every royal prince from nearby systems wanted to mate with her. Her life was perfect. Until the war came. The war changed everything. During a great battle, Kalara tried to protect her people. A powerful explosion shattered her wings. Her legs were crushed and replaced with alien metal. She could no longer fly, no longer dance, no longer lead. Now she sat in a lonely room inside the Crystal Palace. The walls were clear glass, so that everyone could see her. The people called it the Starlight Cage. To them, she was a broken treasure, something to look at, but not love. No suitor came anymore. No noble prince sent her gifts or letters. Even her own family had stopped visiting her. Her brother, now king, told her to stay quiet, stay hidden. She was no longer useful, no longer perfect. Every day, Kalara stared at the stars and wished for silence, but every night she cried, not because of her broken body, but because of her broken heart. She still dreamed of love, but no one wanted to mate with a disabled alien princess. Then, one day, a new visitor came to Salterra. He was not like the others. He did not wear golden robes or fly silver ships. He came in a small human cruiser, painted black and old. His name was Elias Ward, and he was from a strange planet called Earth. Humans were new to the galaxy. The other? Alien races called them simple, emotional, and weak. They had no wings, no powers, no long history. But they had something rare. Courage. Elias was a diplomat, sent to meet the royal family of Salterra. He was polite, quiet, and curious. He learned fast, listened more, and watched everything. When he heard the story of Princess Kalara, he asked to meet her. The guards laughed. She's not for mating, they said. She is broken, forgotten, and cursed. But Elias insisted. He said, I do not come to judge her. I only wish to speak. They allowed him one visit, thinking he would be afraid, but Elias was not afraid. He walked into the Starlight Cage without a second thought. Kalara sat by the window, her back turned, her wings were folded like old cloth. Her legs made small metal clicks. She expected another visitor who would stare and leave, but Elias sat beside her, silently. After a long pause, he said, "You are not what I expected." Kalara looked at him sharply. "And what did you expect, human?" He smiled gently. "A weak girl. But I see someone strong." No one had said that in years. Kalara was confused. "Do you mock me?" Elias shook his head. "No. I came here because I heard your story. I heard of your courage in battle. I heard how your own people turned away from you." Kalara turned her face away. "So, you came to pity me?" "No," Elias said. "I came to ask you something." She narrowed her eyes. "What?" He looked straight at her. No fear in his voice. "Will you mate with me?" he asked. Silence. Even the stars outside seemed to pause. Kalara blinked, her heart skipping like a broken note. "No one has asked me that in years," she whispered. Elias didn't move. "Then let me be the first." Her voice shook. "I am not whole," Elias replied. "Who is?" Kalara looked at him, searching for a trick, but he looked back with soft eyes, full of strange human warmth. "I do not care about wings," he said. "I care about your soul." Kalara wanted to laugh, to scream, to cry. She had lived years in silence, and now this human came with words that broke her walls. Outside the glass walls, the nobles watched in shock, a human asking the princess to mate. They whispered, "It's a joke. It's madness." But Kylara did not care what they thought. For the first time in years, she felt alive. She stood up slowly, her metal legs humming. "Come back tomorrow, Elias Ward," she said. "I will give you an answer." As he walked away, Kylara touched her heart, and for the first time in a long time, it beat with hope. The night was quiet, but Kylara could not sleep. The stars outside her glass walls looked different. For years, they were her only companions. But now, a new thought kept echoing in her mind. His voice, "Will you mate with me?" She had replayed those words 100 times. A human had spoken them. Not in mockery, not in duty, but with heart. Why would someone like him ask someone like her? Elsewhere in the palace, rumors spread like fire. The alien nobles were laughing behind golden curtains. The human must be mad, they said. No one mates with the broken. Elias Ward didn't hear the whispers. Or maybe he didn't care. He stood on the palace terrace, watching the twin moons rise. His mind wasn't on stars or planets. It was on her. He wasn't sure what made him say those words. He didn't plan it. He only saw a girl behind glass, hurting in silence, and something in him couldn't look away. Next morning, Elias returned. Kylara was waiting, dressed in her old royal robe. It didn't fit the same anymore, but she wore it with pride. Her silver hair was braided, her back straight. She was not ready to say yes, but she was ready to be seen. "You came back," she said. "I said I would." Elias replied with a calm smile. They sat near the floating garden spheres. Light flowers drifted around them like quiet butterflies. Kylara studied him. His clothes were simple. His face had small scars. He looked like someone who had lived a hard life, not like the soft alien nobles she had once known. "Do you know what it means to mate with a royal?" she asked. Elias nodded. "A sacred bond, recognized across empires." "It's not love," she said sharply. "It's duty, alliance, legacy." "But I don't care about legacy," he said. "I care about you." Kylara flinched at those words. "You speak like a poet," she whispered. "I speak like a man," he said. "One who sees something beautiful where others see brokenness." For a moment, Kylara forgot her metal legs. She forgot the eyes watching from behind the glass. She only saw him, strange, fearless, and human. But nothing in Saltera stayed hidden for long. In the royal hall, Kylara's brother, King Vorin, slammed his fist on the crystal table. "A human," he roared. "She speaks to a human like he is worthy." The council nodded in disgust. "She brings shame to the bloodline." One said, "She must be silenced," said another. The king sent a messenger to Kylara. She read the glowing letter with tight lips. She was given one choice: reject the human before galactic moonfall, or be removed from the royal line forever. That night, Kylara sat in silence. Elias joined her again, unaware of the storm coming. "I was told to stay away from you," she said softly. "By who?" Elias asked. "My family," she replied, her voice cold. "Then tell me now," he said. "If you want me to leave, I will." She turned to him, and for the first time, her eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Because you are the first thing in this galaxy that feels real to me," he answered. Kylara closed her eyes. "I don't know if I can give you what you want." "I only want what you're willing to give," Elias said. She smiled, broken. "But beautiful? Come tomorrow," she whispered. "If I'm still here," he frowned. "What does that mean?" But she said nothing more, only looked at the stars as if trying to remember how they used to comfort her. The next morning, Elias woke to find his room guarded by armed soldiers. He was told he was under investigation. For what? For disruption of royal order and unfit contact with royal blood. Elias was dragged through the halls like a criminal, but his face showed no fear. Kylara watched from her cage, her hands shaking. She tried to speak, but the guard silenced her. The human had dared to touch something sacred, and now the Empire was ready to punish him. The walls of the palace had memory. They remembered every secret whispered in its halls. Every lie told beneath the golden flags, but no wall had spoken the truth. Not until a human came and asked the wrong question. Elias Ward sat alone in a cold energy cell. No windows, no sound. Just the faint hum of the electric field around him. He wasn't afraid, but he was angry. Not because he was locked away, but because he didn't know if she was safe. Kylara watched from her tower, fists clenched. She could feel the old pain return, the same helplessness from years ago. The last time she had trusted someone, she had lost her wings. Now she had trusted again, and he was in chains. She couldn't let the past repeat. Not again. That night, while the palace slept, she rolled back the rug on her chamber floor. Beneath it was a secret panel, untouched since the war. She opened it and pulled out a glowing stone, a royal memory shard encoded with truth. She placed it into her wrist port, and her room filled with light and holograms. She whispered, "Show me what they buried." What she saw made her metal legs tremble. The explosion that ruined her body. It wasn't caused by the enemy. It was caused by a strike ordered by her own brother. King Voron. He had planned the blast to destroy a rebel group threatening his power, but he never warned Kylara. She was sent into the zone because if she died, he would become king without question. The memory ended. Kylara sat frozen. Betrayal had written her past, and now it was trying to erase her future too. She stood up slowly. Her heart burned with something she hadn't felt in years, not sorrow. Not weakness, but rage. Meanwhile, deep in the palace core, Elias was not alone anymore. An old droid rolled up to his cell, buzzing quietly. "You are the human," it said. "You spoke to the broken princess." Elias narrowed his eyes. "Yes." The droid's lights flickered. "Then I will help you escape," it said. The droid was once Kylara's personal guard, decommissioned. After the war, left to rot in storage, but somehow, it remembered her voice, and now it wanted to serve again. It disabled the cell shield. Elias stepped out, confused but grateful. "How do I find her?" he asked. The droid's voice cracked. "Follow the lights elsewhere." Kylara entered the forbidden wing. Only royals could open its gate, and only once in their lifetime, inside, the air was colder, the silence heavier. This was where the old records were hidden. The real history, untouched by lies. She searched until she found it, a scroll of fireglass. Marked with the royal crest, it confirmed everything her brother had betrayed her, and erased all traces from public memory. Tears fell, but they were quiet. She didn't weep for the pain. She wept for the years wasted in silence, for the truth buried in shadows. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the chamber. She turned, metal legs ready to defend, but it was Elias. Out of breath, eyes wide. "You're alive," he whispered. "So are you," she replied, voice shaking. He walked closer, saw the scroll in her hands. "What is that?" She looked up at him. The truth? They stood together, surrounded by history and betrayal. The light from the scroll reflected in their eyes. Elias reached for her hand. She didn't pull away this time. "What now?" he asked. Kylara's voice was clear. "Now, we make them remember who I am." But outside the forbidden wing, royal guards gathered. The king had learned of their meeting, and this time he would not let her walk free again. Asterisk, there are places in the palace that even the royals forget, places untouched by cameras or politics. One of them was hidden beneath the Eastern Tower. A zero-gravity chamber called the Garden of Still Stars. a place where time floated. And gravity let go. Kylara had not stepped inside since before the war, before her wings were taken, before her legs became metal, before her name became a shame. But now, as she stood at the edge of the entrance, Elias beside her, she remembered the last time she was there, laughing, free. That girl was gone. But something inside her whispered, maybe not forever. Elias looked up at the dome ceiling. Glowing with tiny lights, they look like earth fireflies, he said with a soft grin. Kylara tilted her head. What are fireflies? He chuckled. Little bugs that glow in the dark, harmless but magical. They floated into the chamber together. The gravity dissolved. Elias pushed off gently from the wall. Drifting like a leaf in the wind, Kylara stayed still. Her metal feet magnetized to the floor. I can't, she said. I haven't floated since. Her voice faded, the words too painful to finish. Elias held out his hand. Then let me help. She stared at it, her hand trembling, not from fear, but from fear of hope. She reached out slowly, fingers touched, then locked with a soft pull. Elias guided her forward. The floor let go, and Kylara rose, slowly, like a forgotten melody finding its rhythm again. For a moment, they drifted together. No past, no pain, no empire watching. Just two souls dancing in silence. She laughed. Truly laughed for the first time in years. It echoed through the chamber like music. Her hair floated around her face. Her eyes sparkled. And Elias couldn't stop looking at her. You're not broken, he whispered. You're flying? Kylara's heart beat louder than any war drum, not from fear, but from something terrifying and beautiful. She wanted to be seen. By him, they floated closer. No words now, just breath and gravity and wonder. Their foreheads touched, their lips nearly met until the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the dome. The magic shattered, gravity slammed back on. They fell. Kylara hit the floor hard. Elias rolled beside her. Guards burst in from every direction. Weapons raised by order of King Voran, the lead officer barked. The human is charged with royal corruption, and the princess with treason. Elias jumped in front of her. You'll have to go through me. The guards laughed cruelly. That's the plan, one said. He raised his plasma rifle. Kylara's metal leg shot out, sweeping the guard off his feet. Another came forward. Elias tackled him into the gravity controls. The chamber flickered. Gravity pulsed on and off like a heartbeat. Kylara and Elias moved like stars colliding. Not perfect, not graceful, but together. She blocked, he struck, she stumbled. He caught her. They were a storm in silver glass. But they were outnumbered, cornered. Elias bled from a cut above his eye. Kylara's arm sparked too many hits to her damaged prosthetic. The guards circled them again, aiming to finish it. Then, a flash of light. A figure dropped from above, cloaked in black. It was the old droid Kylara's forgotten protector. It fired 2 stun bolts, sending guards flying. This way. It beeped. No time. Kylara limped forward, Elias helping her. Through hidden corridors, old servant tunnels, down into the heart of the palace. We can't keep running, Elias said, between breaths. Kylara looked at him, her voice calm but cold. Then it's time we stop hiding. They reached a broken lift that hadn't been used in decades. Inside was a single keyhole, shaped like a royal crest. Kylara pressed her hand against it. The lift activated with a low hum. Where does this go? Elias asked. Kylara looked at him, her eyes full of fire. To the one place the king fears most, she said, the Temple of Truth. Beneath the shining towers of Salterra, far below the gardens, halls, and crystal balconies, lay a place no song dared to mention. A place carved in shadow, hidden under moons and memory. They called it the Moon Cells, where traitors vanished. and truth was silenced. Kylara had only heard stories as a child. Now, she stood before its rusted gate, her name burned into the entry log. Status: enemy of the throne. It felt like poison in her chest. And yet, it also felt like freedom. Beside her stood Elias, his body bruised, his heart steady. He had followed her into fire without a second thought. And now, he followed her into the dark. The lift doors behind them slammed shut. There was no going back, only forward. They walked into the maze of the moon cells. Guided by flickering lights and the old droid. Warning, the droid buzzed. Internal security reactivating. Kylara's metal foot struck sparks against the floor. We have to reach the core chamber, she said. It's the only place that still broadcasts unfiltered signals. Elias narrowed his eyes. You're going to tell them the truth. All of it, she replied. Suddenly, energy turrets dropped from the walls. Red beams sliced the air. Elias pulled her behind a pillar. We'll never outrun them, he said, breathing hard. Kylara turned to the droid. Deactivate the defense grid. Access denied, it said. Override, she growled. Royal code, Kylara 779. The droid paused, its lights blinking. Override accepted. The turrets powered down. The path ahead glowed blue, but in the shadows, someone was watching. Kylara's brother, King Voran, stood in the control chamber. He watched the security feed in silence. His fingers curled around a wine glass. She should have died in the war. He whispered, she always came back. He turned to his head of guards, seal the core chamber. If she reaches that console, it's over. Back in the tunnels. Elias staggered. His side was bleeding from a past strike. Kylara wrapped her scarf around his waist. Stay with me, she whispered. You're stronger than you think. He smiled weakly. Only because of you. They reached the final gate, thick, ancient, covered in moss and gold. Kylara placed both hands on the sensor. The door responded to her touch. Not the broken princess, but the air they tried to erase. Inside the chamber, machines hummed, forgotten by time. She walked to the console, broadcasting to the entire empire. She said, once I start, I can't stop it. Elias nodded. Then start it. She opened the memory shard, the one that proved her brothers. Betrayal, her voice began to echo across galaxies. To all who still believe in truth, she said, I am Princess Kylara of Saltera. Once silenced, now awake. I was not crippled by war. I was crippled by a crown that feared me before she could finish. The chamber doors exploded. Guards stormed in, too many. Too fast, Kylara turned to Elias. Finish the broadcast, she said. He grabbed her hand. Not without you, but she had already made her choice. She pushed him toward the console, then turned and stood tall between the guards and the truth. I was never broken, she whispered, only betrayed. They fired, she fell. But not before her message echoed through every screen, every ship, every star. Elias caught her as she dropped. Her breathing was shallow, her metal limbs sparking. You did it, he said, voice cracking. Her fingers touched his face. I was waiting for someone to see me. She said, and you did. Her eyes closed. But somewhere, far above, the empire was changing, because one voice had dared to speak, and one human had dared to love what others left behind. Asterisk, the stars above Saltera burned quieter that night. As if they mourned, as if they held their breath for a princess who had fallen. Elias carried her broken body through the old tunnels, blood on his hands, pain in his chest. She wasn't speaking anymore, but her fingers still twitched, still fighting, even in unconsciousness. The droid rolled ahead, its voice low. There is one place left, old and forbidden. The healing wells of Vale. No one had spoken that name in centuries. Not since the wars between the ancients. It was said the wells didn't just heal the body, they opened the mind, linked souls. fused pain and memory into something new. Elias had no choice. He followed the droid into the icy core of the moon, through roots of metal, trees, and glowing crystal veins, until they reached it, a pool of slow-moving silver, breathing like a living thing. The wells require two, the droid said. One to receive, one to offer. Elias knelt beside Kylara, brushing her tangled hair from her face. I'll go with her, he whispered, whatever it takes. He stepped into the water with her in his arms. The silver liquid rose like mist, wrapping them in silence. Then the plunge, darkness, then light, then something in between. Elias opened his eyes, but he wasn't in the moon chamber anymore. He was in her memory. He saw Kylara as a child, running with glowing wings. Through the gardens, he saw her first battle, fierce and proud. He saw the explosion, the betrayal, her scream as her wings burned. He fell to his knees in her memory world. The pain was real, but it was hers, and he carried it with her. Then her voice echoed. Not from outside, but inside his mind. You should not see this. I want to, he answered. I need to, she appeared in front of him, whole again, her spirit untouched by time. She looked at him. No walls, no lies. You are not like the others. She said, you never looked away. I couldn't, he replied, even when they told me you were a mistake. Kylara reached out her hand. He took it, and the world changed again. Now she saw him. The battles he fought as a soldier on Earth, the grief of losing his family, the loneliness of being human in a galaxy that laughed at emotion. The moment he first saw her behind the glass and knew he'd found someone real. The silver light wrapped around them tighter. Their minds, memories, fears, all linked. Two species, two lives. Now one shared soul. When Elias opened his eyes again, he was back in the chamber. But he was no longer alone. Kylara gasped, coughing, breathing. Alive, her eyes opened slowly. I saw you, she whispered. I saw everything, so did I, Elias said softly. She looked down at her hands. They glowed faintly with the silver of the well. The wounds were healing, not just her body, but the weight she carried. They stood together, stronger than before, not just bonded by love, but by memory. Suddenly, the droid spun in alarm. Alert, it said. The palace has declared war on the rebels. The king has ordered your capture, dead or alive. Kylara looked at Elias. But she didn't look afraid. Her voice was steady, royal again. Then let him come. She stepped forward, glowing with silver light. No longer just the disabled princess. No longer just the forgotten royal. She was something new, a living truth, and beside her stood a human who had seen her scars and still chosen to stay. At dawn, the twin suns of Saltera rose red, not with warmth, but with warning. The palace glowed like gold, but inside, fear moved like a shadow. King Voran stood before his war council. Face hard, voice cold, the traitor lives, he said. And the human lives with her. They must be destroyed before the people believe her lies. But outside those walls, something had already begun across the galaxy. Kylara's message had echoed. Her voice, once hidden, now danced through every screen. Whispers turned to questions. Questions turned to doubt. And doubt became a wave. Ships that once bowed to the king now hovered in silence. Leaders of other worlds watched closely, waiting, wondering if the age of Saltera was ending. Far below, in the ruins of the moon's core, Kylara stood with Elias. Winds of silver stirred her cloak. The healing waters had marked her, not just in body, but in spirit. She was no longer only a princess. She was truth, and truth had teeth. A voice crackled over their comms. It was the droid. I have restored control to your personal fleet, it said. 5 ships await, loyal to your bloodline. Kylara looked at Elias, her eyes fierce, ready to change history. He smiled. I brought my boots. Together. They soared through the ancient tunnels, rose from the moon's belly like fire rising from ice. The sky opened to them, and behind them, 5 battlecruisers followed. The palace defenses lit up. Cannons fired, drones screamed, but Kylara's ships danced through them like lightning. This was not a war. This was a reckoning. Inside the palace, chaos spread. Citizens flooded the halls, chanting her name, Kylara. Kylara. Not out of pity, but pride. Vorin saw it all from his throne. His hands trembled. Send the royal guard, he barked, but they were already gone. Half had joined her side. The others had dropped their weapons. Kylara landed in the throne courtyard. Guards stepped aside, heads lowered. She walked forward slowly. Elias beside her, armor scratched, eyes clear. The human and the fallen princess now walking as equals at the foot of the throne. Vorin waited. He wore full armor, glowing with ancient power. You dare return here? He hissed. I never left, Kylara replied. He drew his blade. A weapon made of plasma and pride. Kylara stepped forward, bare-handed. I challenge you, she said, by right of flame. Asps echoed through the court. Right of flame, sacred, final, no tricks, no armies. Only 2 bloodlines, one ending. The battle began. Steel and light clashed across the marble floor. Vorin was stronger, faster, but Kylara had purpose. She moved with precision. Not anger. She blocked, dodged, struck. His blade burned her arm. She didn't flinch. Her metal leg shattered his shield. He stumbled, and when she dropped him to one knee, she didn't kill him. She looked down at her brother, eyes full of fire. You took my wings, she said, but not my will. Then she turned, faced the crowd, her voice steady and clear. I do not want a throne built on silence. I want a future built on truth. The people roared. And for the first time in generations, the throne was claimed not by blood, but by choice. Kylara stepped forward. Elias beside her, not her servant, not her guard, her equal. The council bowed. Even the stars above seemed to shift, as if watching. Something new being born later. In the quiet of the starlight garden, Elias looked up at the twin moons. Do you regret it? He asked. Kylara leaned on his shoulder. Only that I didn't find you sooner. He smiled. And now? She looked at him. Now I build a galaxy where no one is forgotten. They kissed beneath the twin moons. And somewhere deep in the heart of the empire, the old stars whispered, the queen has risen.